Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barban. With me is Geoff Dover, and let's talk football.
It's another one in our State of Affairs series. So it's the state of football in the great state of Pennsylvania.
That's right. And so this is one of the only states that could potentially have the Super Bowl champ and the college national championship this coming year.
Yeah.
They're both. So I'm wearing Penn State. You're wearing the Steelers, but I think I got the Eagles in pole position behind me. Mm-hmm. So it's obviously the Eagles. They're top, 3 favored to repeat for the Super Bowl. They have the shortest odds to go to the NFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. And I think the only two teams with shorter odds for the Super Bowl are the Ravens and the Bills, two teams who have not been there. But right now, Vegas odds have them higher than the Eagles. That actually surprises me. I'm surprised Eagles still aren't number one, and I think KC's at 4 or 5. I mean, they're still up there too.
Yeah, and I think that it's so. Just to your first point about the state for both, Texas might have an argument with you with the Longhorns, and then the Houston Texans. Some would probably feel might be
that's the other one I was thinking.
But yeah. So Pennsylvania, two like really high quality teams. That's what I have written down here in my notes for the state of affairs. Is that the 4 teams we're going to be talking about today? Does everyone have a legitimate chance or discussion to go to the conference championship game? So for sure, the Eagles, the Steelers, depending on, we can talk more about this, but I'm shocked at some of the previews, how some of them are like, they're still not very good. And they're sort of, barely holding it together. And then there's some previews that are like, oh man, Pittsburgh's putting all the chips in the middle. Like this is the playoff run or bust, which is always surprising. So Penn State for sure is going to be amazing. So they absolutely have aspirations. And Pitt, like you said, University of Pittsburgh started 6-0,
7-0. Started 7-0,
and then
went
lost
0-6.
Right, when they lost their QB and their left tackle. So a healthy QB going into the season, like they were ranked in the top 15, I think, when they were undefeated at that point. Yeah. And I really like their. The schedule is good because it's at Georgia Tech and they host Miami at the end of the season, which could potentially be really important games there in terms of the standing. So anyway, that was my state of affairs for great state of Pennsylvania. I feel like those 4 teams have legitimate, quality stretches in their aspirations.
Yeah, I think obviously the Panthers, I would think people would agree that's the longest shot to get to their conference title, but the ACC is not. I mean, yes, Clemson's the obvious favorite. But I could see Pitt, it hasn't been too long since they've been to the conference championship. I could see them be there. I could see them being there again if Holstein really improves this year, stays healthy. And that was a bummer when the quarterback and the left tackle go, and basically the whole season fell apart all at once, which was shocking. But I guess if you're starting, most teams losing their starting QB, kind of things would unravel. I wouldn't expect too many teams to survive losing, and those 2 positions.
Yeah, no, especially in college. There's that upper tier, like Texas, when Ewers went down to have Manning, like that's amazing. But any other teams, aren't going to have that. So that's the reason it's understandable how that everything just completely fell off the rails. But 7-0 is not nothing, And and after you get Clemson, maybe Miami or Florida State would be up there. But then after that, to me, it's wide open. Maybe Louisville. I think Pittsburgh's in that category. So anyway, yeah. So 4 teams, to have significant aspirations going in the season.
And in our theme of head coach and quarterback continuity, the Pitt Panthers do have continuity. The Penn State Nittany Lions have continuity.
Record continuity.
Record continuity. Yeah,
it is unbelievable that Allar came back and the 2 starting running backs is ridiculous. So that is such a powerful, established, quality players in the running game, and there's a lot of people that are picking them to finish first in the Big Ten, even ahead of Ohio State. So
O-line returns 4 starters. This is it for Penn State. And this is the second year with Kotelnicki. So that offense should, another year in that offense for Allar. So this is it. They're the third. They're tied with Georgia for the third shortest odds for the national championship. Ohio State and Texas are the only 2 ahead of them. But if it's not now, when could it ever be for this team?
Yeah.
The stage is set. They've got tons of returning talent. They've got blue chippers all over the place. the continuity, I think, matters, especially when all the teams around them in the top of the country, at least as far as the national championship aspirations, all are starting new QBs. So, and some of them are have new coordinators too, like Penn State. Not Penn State. Ohio State lost both coordinators. Well, Penn State took one. They took Knowles. So it's there. If continuity matters at all, and if a veteran presence in college matters at all, and coming back to finish what you started, that whole in the era of transfer portals, in the era of going to the NFL early, this seems like it should be there.
Yeah, now, that means a lot. Like you said, when they choose not to go to the NFL and come back, that's happened a couple times in college sports. And when that does, it really just feels like it galvanizes the locker room. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's there for one reason. It really eliminates all of the mistakes, like doing stupid stuff when the middle season is limited. It's not never goes zero, but it's limited because everyone's there. Like, we're here to compete for a championship, and so having that at the beginning, and those got the senior people coming back and being that talented and wanting to do it is, that I think that's going to make a big difference. And their schedule is great in terms of, the beginning of the season. They start with Nevada and FIU and Villanova, which will be no problem. Get things really humming for when they host Oregon, which will be a really big game like after that. And then it's at UCLA in Northwestern, which isn't too bad. At Iowa, at Ohio State, bit of a tough stretch there. But you're going to have to beat Michigan's not on the schedule. So, having playing them at that point is good. Then Indiana and Michigan State, then Nebraska and Rutgers. So, I think it sets up really well for them to have a really good season. So
yeah, and they're at the point where schedule shouldn't matter. Doesn't matter who's there. They should be capable of beating whoever's on. Put it this way: if they think they're winning the national championship, who cares who's on this schedule? You better beat them. That's just how it's going to be.
It's 2 difficult road games, right? Which is anyone would take in a college football schedule, right? So that's great. So it's a tough opponent at home with Oregon, and then 2 difficult road games like that. That's manageable in the 12-game slate.
Yep. And the 2 key losses, you could say, are Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter, big time draft picks.
Yep.
So keeping in our theme of Saturday and Sunday, linking this to the NFL, that's, but again, they have next man up type talent. So it shouldn't be. Now, Warren is a singular talent, but the tight ends they have replacing them, you just can't expect to have a gadget player like that every time. And they're going to be good. And Kotelnicki's not an idiot. He'll know how to use whatever tight ends he has now on the team. Also, they've got 3 pretty significant wide receiver transfers. To me, this whole thing comes down to that.
Yes.
The defense will be there. The offensive line's there. The running backs are there. Are these 3 receivers and whoever else is in that room, but specifically these 3 transfers, is that actually going to make it? Like, when was the last time they had a good receiver?
It's a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So one of those receivers has to be sort of like this go-to guy on like 3rd down or something like someone has to emerge from there because what was, and Allar has to also take a step up because he looked like he struggled last year when it's like when the ball's in his hands, and you have to get us to that field goal range or a touchdown or something. He looked like he struggled with their, when they have like a really like a good team game, when the defense is extremely smothering and they're running the ball and controlling it, like that works great. But once you get to elite competition, the Big Ten championship game, playoff game, there's going to be a point where like, we need you to deliver us a drive and not throw 2 picks. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a step up for this year, and he needs the wide receivers to do it.
Yeah. I saw a stat saying Tyler Warren caught 105 passes, and all 3 of their other starting receivers collectively caught 102.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So, I mean, it's got to change. It's got to change.
There's one game where Warren, I think, had 17 catches.
I think he set the record for single game catches, and maybe also for Penn State career. Either way, he was obviously an outstanding talent, and Kotelnicki used them all over the place.
Yeah.
But you gotta believe he's good enough. The OC is good enough to know how to work with what he's got now, minus Warren. So
yeah, I think the 3 transfer wide receivers and another year with that OC, like and Allar, another year of developing. I'm hoping that's going to really pay dividends this year.
Okay, so this is crazy. Do you actually think somehow Franklin is on the hot seat if they blow it and then they don't make a deep run here?
I don't think so. I mean, they would take Penn State is like they won a championship, like there's no doubt about that. But he's been a really consistent, like 8 or 9, 10 win,
Yeah.
team and stuff, and you can't say no to that. Now his record against Michigan, Ohio State was terrible,
Mhm.
right? So one of those like that has to improve at some point. But I mean, like there's everything else is there, so it's sort of hard to.
Okay, so what would meet expectation, what would exceed expectation, and what would be a disappointment?
So meet have to make the Big Ten championship game, have to make the playoff. I think that's the minimum expected for this team. I think the meet expectations would probably even be like winning the Big Ten or beating Ohio State in the regular season. I think either one of those are fine. And then, and win one playoff game, maybe something like that would be the meet expectation. And then exceed would be like national championship. They just haven't had it in a long time. So
Right. And then a disappointment's anything less than
yeah, if they
meeting
don't lose to
right.
Ohio State and not play in the Big Ten championship game and not make the playoffs, that's going to be a problem.
Oh, if they don't make the playoffs, that's a complete disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they get in as an at-large, that's still like, oh, you kind of backed your way in. I think everyone expects them to be in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the path for them not doing it would be losing to Oregon, losing to Ohio State, and then maybe one or two other losses, like which would be a significant disappointment, right? But but like a 3-loss Penn State team that's not in the Big Ten championship game might not get in. So,
well, I think it's safe to say the pressure's on. They have to make a deep run. I think they have to get to the championship game. That seems to be
the conference championship game,
no,
or
the national. Just with what they have, and that fact that all the other top teams are starting it. They just have less returning talent. And like they're all good, like you said, Manning and the new starter at Ohio State. But again, say it. Everyone across the board is starting a new QB at the upper tier, except for Clemson.
Right. But the thing is that once they meet in the playoffs, that's really not a first year QB at that point. They've got 12 games of experience, and they, so if Penn State doesn't make the national championship game, but they lose to Texas or something like that in the semifinal, I don't know if that's going to be a huge disappointment, but like that's, if it's lose to Arizona State in the first round of the playoffs, then that's going to be a problem. So
yeah. I saw one. I guess you could say detractor saying even as far as Penn State made it last year, the two teams they beat in the playoffs are not traditional powerhouses. They beat SMU and Boise. It's like you still don't have a top 10 win.
Yeah, like SMU steamrolled a lot of teams in the ACC, including some good teams.
Yeah.
And Jennings is legit, and Genty is an amazing running back that ran over everybody, including some big teams. So like, it's not the, I get what they're saying. It's not the traditional powerhouse team, but they're not nothing wins either. So.
But they're also not blue chip ratio teams that as per Bud Elliott's ratings, could ever win the championship. They're not above 50% blue chip, neither of those teams. So that's a more way I look at it now. Forget the national rank. Is this a 50% plus blue chip team that they've beaten? And they don't seem to beat too many of those teams.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll see. That's a lot. So Penn State expectations through the roof. And
Pitt, I think that Pitt too, like they played Duquesne, Central Michigan at West Virginia, big backyard brawl game early on there. If they win that,
one of the most fun games of the year.
It is. It'll be really good. And then they host Louisville. And then they host Boston College. Like they potentially could be like 5-0 going into at FSU, which would be a big, that's a big game. That'd be a good setup for them. So, but that's anyway. So that we'll see. I think it's the state of affairs in Pennsylvania. I think there's a lot of teams. Whatever team you cheer for, that you could have some expectations for them this year.
Something interesting. And so, would you put the Eagles moving to the NFL a little bit here? Would you actually say the Eagles are more interesting this year or the Steelers?
That's a great question. I think that they're both interesting, but in different ways. I think that the concern for the Eagles, the overall concern, I think, is that who they lost on defense, right? So they've lost some key players, and you either need people to step up or draft picks to hit in order, and that's not a guarantee. It did last year,
Mhm.
right? They had an amazing free agent signing with the Braun. They had amazing draft picks, work out.
Bond,
So
yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
like that has to work, right? For them. The Pittsburgh, again, I'm fascinated by them. There was a thing I was reading on the preview where since 2014, I think it is, Cleveland has won more playoff games than Pittsburgh, which is like one or something, like
Yeah, well,
it's really,
Pittsburgh's now in a 9-year drought.
yeah. So so anyway, it's just weird to think that
It
is
doesn't sound right at all, does it?
no,
They
and
they
I have
get there all the time. They just in a
yes.
huge drought.
Yeah, and so I really I haven't had expectations for the Steelers for some time, really. Like
Mhm.
other than being a decent regular season team, and I had zero expectations for the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year but I need to see it. I need to see Rodgers on the field. I need to see them, if he can make the offense more than competent. We assume the Steeler defense is going to be good, then suddenly that gets interesting. The Eagles are going to be good. I know that. Like I don't.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of if by the end of the season, if they're going to have a championship sort of caliber defense, because that was something they really leaned on last year.
And
Um,
it's on the books. It's the cheapest defense in 2025.
I saw that in your
The
notes.
least expensive in the whole league.
That's
If you
amazing.
add up how much is allocated for
Yeah.
2025. And on the flip side, the Steelers is the most expensive in the whole NFL.
That's crazy. So, and so I think so to answer your question, I'm most interested in the Steelers early to see what they look like and to see what Rodgers looks like. And, Ramsey, I think, is he there now too, right? So
Mhm.
just seeing how that fits. And then near the end, like because Eagles are going to be fine. So near the end of the season, just to see if I think that defense is really going to be able to help them go far in the playoffs. So
Yeah, I think the Eagles have earned their way now to the point where this can be a clunker season as long as they get to the playoffs. It doesn't matter. Okay, how am I going to say this? It doesn't need to look any way for the Eagles.
yeah.
As long as they get to the playoffs, because their season this past year, I remember we had Eagles fans saying Jalen Hurts isn't it. They hated. Remember that whole
Oh yeah.
offensive controversy,
Yep.
and instead they just looked completely dominant at the end and just blew Casey out in the Super Bowl. So I don't think it matters what it looks like. I'm assuming those Eagles fans have gotten over that, and now they just understand this. There's winning DNA here, and
Yeah.
whatever. I don't understand. I think Hurts is awesome. I don't understand people who don't like him, but obviously he knows how to run that system, and he knows how to win in that system. So I don't think it matters how pretty it is anymore. It's like it's just get there. Almost like the Chiefs now. It's like it can be ugly, just get there. I think the Eagles are at that level.
Yeah.
It's just replace players. Who cares? Get to the playoffs. They know how to win. Winning's a skill. The solid verbal guys say that, and I think that's true. Like once a team knows how to do it and has that like memory, it's like, oh yeah, we can get there. It's all there. So I think the NFC Championship game is completely an expectation for this team for sure.
Yeah, and that's a great comparison. I was going to say the same thing about the Kansas City Chiefs too. It's they're once they're that seasoned and that the amount of veterans they have in the team, it just makes it feel different. Like they can have an average, regular season. They just need to make the playoffs, and this would be the kind of team that you won't want to face in the playoffs. I thought the Rams were going to be that kind of team too. Like once like Stafford went there and with McVay, and I thought they were going to be sort of like perennial, like just have to make the playoffs, and you wouldn't want to play the Rams, but that didn't quite work out. But no, I agree with you. I just think the Eagles are like if they're second behind the Commanders in their division and make like a wild card like that, that's still going to be fine. So.
Yeah.
But
they get the benefit of the doubt. That's what they get. But whereas I don't think the Steelers do at all. To your point, this is now there's talent everywhere. We don't exactly know what Rodgers will look like, but we were reviewing his stats. He actually wasn't that bad last year.
No, and I think getting Metcalf is a big deal too, and they need to hit on their running back, the guy from Iowa. Like I think that guy's got to be
Johnson.
Good. And everyone thinks he's going to be. So, but it's that guy has to be good because otherwise, like if you don't have a running game, then that's going to be a problem. But it's but no, just to finish the point about the Eagles, like you said about Hurts, that was another thought I had where they're like, we're not sure if he's it. The key part that you said is that he's loaded with talent around him, loaded. Like Barkley is amazing, like Devontae Smith,
A.J. Brown, best 1-2,
or
top 3 1-2.
at least top three, like the,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in Goddard or the,
Yeah, Goddard's good
right?
too. Yeah,
Yeah, like so that they're, and the offensive line's good, so
really good.
yeah, so that they don't have to ask him to do much, right? Which is in a good position to be in for a QB.
Mhm.
So maybe he's not flashy sometimes, but he gets it done. He gets it
Yeah.
done. He he gets the first downs. He can run for a first down, distributes the ball. He doesn't turn it over. Like it's a good fit for that system. So
Yep.
it's,
And we have another theme of the mobile quarterback, and he just fits that mold. If we're not going to go as far as to say that the pocket passer, the traditional Tom Brady, Peyton Manning pocket passer, if we're not going to say that's fully extinct, what we at least can say is the new guard with Mahomes and now Jalen Hurts and even Joe Burrow. These guys can move, and when they need to pick up yards with their legs, they absolutely can do it. Whereas you'd never bank on Brady or Manning to pick up yards with
or
their
Rodgers.
legs. Not anymore. He used to be able to do it. And Rodgers was so mobile. He was so good at buying like so much more time, but not anymore.
No.
Right. So I tend to lean towards the mobile quarterbacks. Jared Goff is still one of the ones left that just sits it in the pocket. But as far as mobility goes, Hurts is in that mold of the new era quarterback. One other rookie to look at on Pittsburgh that might have an impact is Derek Harmon. This guy's like a 310-pound defensive end.
Yeah.
From Oregon. I mean, I can't wait to see what it looks like on that line.
He's going to look great.
Yeah.
in the black jersey.
Well, because there's so much talent on the line with him. TJ Watt's going to be occupying blockers. Highsmith is, he could be one of these guys that hits right away. And I guess keeping in our theme, like with Saturday and Sunday here, two rookies to watch for on the Eagles. They took the best linebacker in the country, Jihad Campbell. And this team just keeps reloading at that position. And Andrew Makuba, safety from Clemson and Texas, he might be a plug and play starter too. So, which it seems like the Eagles they don't miss much lately. So
no. And the last thing about the Steelers is that the other thing that's tough is they're in a tough division, because I think the Cincinnati is going to be really good this year, and Baltimore is going to be really good this year. So it's going to be hard for them to finish in a playoff thing. So those division games are going to be key. And with their schedule, it starts off in a decent way. So it's non-division games for 4 in a row, and then they host Cleveland, and then they're at Cincinnati. Excuse me. So that's not a bad way to warm up, let Rodgers really gel. Like it's at the Jets, and then they host Seattle, which is not exactly murder's row to start at the beginning. So, and then at New England, and then they host Minnesota. That's going to be a tough game.
I have them potentially going 5-0.
Yeah,
I think they'd be favored in most of those games.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning like 3-1 going into the Cleveland game. And if they could beat them and be 4-1 going in against at Cincinnati, excuse me, that's a good setup to be in. So
4-1 or 5-0 is completely on the table for them starting the season. When you look at that schedule.
Yeah, that Minnesota game's weird too, because I think that's one of the in Europe ones.
Is it?
So yeah.
That one all revolves around, is McCarthy going to hit, or is he just going to have typical rookie struggles?
Yeah, but getting Minnesota early, like a fourth game in, isn't bad either.
Yeah, yeah. When he's still trying to figure it out.
Yep.
So
and in a crazy neutral site like that.
Yeah. So Pennsylvania could very realistically have the Super Bowl and the College National Championship this year.
Yeah,
it's one of the few places that can.
Yeah, and if you're just an NFL fan, you've got, and you want to watch some college stuff on Saturday, you've got some good teams to choose from. And if you're a college fan and you want to watch the NFL on Sunday, you've got some good teams to choose from. So it's a really good Saturday versus Sunday state.
Yeah, if you can make it to a couple of those games, go. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it.
Yep.
All right, so that's the state of affairs for Pennsylvania. So for Geoff Dover, I'm John Barban, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.